sponsored by Local Touch Online, a free online magazine that has an exclusive article by Pop Culture Geekery every month. Hello and welcome to another episode of Pop Culture Geekery. I'm Joe Solis, and we are here with Roy from Roy's Toy Box. How you doing, Roy?
Good, Joe. How's it going?
Pretty good. It's been a very Star Wars type of week this week. We got a new TV spot for Rise of Skywalker. We got everybody in the world hopefully has seen episode 1 and 2 of The Mandalorian. Yep. And we got Jedi Fallen Order.
Yes.
And
really cool. Got to play that. It was a very cool game.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we made it through the first, I guess, constitute 2 stages.
Like the tutorials. Yeah. It was a team effort. It takes a village.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So we wanted to go ahead and hit up the toys that talk about some of the newer stuff like Fallen Order and like The Mandalorian, and even some of the upcoming, Rise of Skywalker figures. But then we just were like, well, while we're pulling figures out, let's just pull out all our favorites. So we ended up with a ton here. Of course, if you don't know, these are all from the Star Wars Black series, which are the more detailed. What's the measurement on these?
These are 6 to 7 inches depending on the figure, but they're roughly considered 6-inch figures.
Yeah, and so it just seems to allow for more detail, and definitely some of my favorite figures that have come out. And so, we've got a lot of them to cover, so we're just going to go a little bit at a time, and we'll give you some close-up footage of some of the details. We'll also let you know how to get some of these, because some of these were exclusive, different ways to get them, and some of them were just simply hard to find. So hope you remember which ones are which, so you can kind of give advice.
Yeah, some of these I'll try and do my best to remember those and kind of help you guys navigate your way to get some of the more hard to find ones. So basically we can start off with like we said, we played Fallen Order last night, and here we have the Second Sister and the Purge Trooper, which, speaking of, this was one of those characters, one of these figures that you had to you could only get it through pre-ordering the game through GameStop. Those of you who know are toy collectors or just know generally about toys, GameStop is actually stepping up their game. They've expanded beyond just the games, and they're getting a lot of exclusives and really good ones too, from NECA to Hasbro, like these ones here. But yeah, this guy particularly came with the game, and awesome character. I mean, it's a great figure. The great thing about these Hasbro, these Black series, is they have, like Joe mentioned, they have a lot of articulation, really great points of articulation. They have double jointed elbows, which anyone that shoots photos, toy photography, knows how beneficial that is, because it really lets you get dynamic poses in the elbow joints, sometimes in the knees, depending on the character, in the ankles. They've got really good joints where they can, what they call rock joints, where they can go back and forth and get you really great posability. They've even gone as far as including stands, like specialized stands with some of them, to allow you to pose them in action poses. And they're cool, but just be warned that those can tilt. You wouldn't want to leave them on there for too long. It's better to use like wire armature and like a green screen, if you will, digitally remove some of the wire work when you set these up, just FYI. So here we have the Jedi Fallen Order. Then we've got the Mandalorian. The Mandalorian figures, I was actually really lucky to find the Mandalorian. From what I understand, he was one of the figures that kind of sold out first. And I've been looking around for him. And the earliest I saw, this was by chance that I got him at GameStop yesterday. I was actually looking for Cal from First Order. But I found him, and he's been put on back order to like 2020, like spring 2020, and that's just the Mandalorian in general. They did do another series of these, like their chrome figures, basically like what you see here with this Stormtrooper. They gave that treatment to some of the figures from Fallen Order, from the Mandalorian, and a few others, but as well as the Rise of Skywalker series. But I'm just happy to grab this character. It's really cool. I got Cara Dune, also played by what is her name again? Gina Carano. Amazing MMA fighter and a great action star. Really love that she is in this. I can't wait to see her character in the show. I'm not giving any spoilers, so she hasn't been in it yet. but she's coming up hopefully here pretty soon. And great figure. I think they did her justice. Her likeness is fantastic. The Mandalorian has some really cool little details in him, along with his weapons. He's got his blaster, what is that gun? The Mandalorian, like, I forget the name of it, but it's the one that Boba Fett carried in the original holiday special. You know, he has that. Anyone that knows the character or the history, they did give that to him, and he has it, which is pretty neat. It also is pretty cool because it does strap to his back, which is a great little feature. But yeah, these are just the kind of the newest ones that have come out. Still collecting these guys. As far as getting any exclusives on them, like I said, the Purge Trooper was one of them. And then finding the Chrome versions of these. On Triple Force Friday, they released all the Chrome versions, along with the, I guess, regular ones, if you will. But those Chrome ones went fast, and they're already jumping in price, and they're a little harder to obtain.
It's because they're shiny. People like things.
That's the appeal. I mean, I have the original, the non-Chrome, and I gotta say, man, that Chrome it shouts at you. So yeah, you had to get it. But yeah, so those are the figures I have right now on those.
So before those came out, we actually got one here, which you have decided for the meantime to leave in the box, which I was kind of surprised. Yes. And this one, thanks to you, I actually got one of these because this is my favorite costume for Obi-Wan Kenobi that's not in the regular movies, right, which is him in the clone trooper armor. I actually have one of the old, was it 3 3/4? Right. Not the Clone Wars cartoon version. There was actually a non-animated style one, and that one took me a while to find, but I have that one, and now thanks to you I have this one. So yeah, what do you want to talk about him?
This one was actually a Walgreens exclusive. This guy I saw 7 months out, and it was one of those I was very fortunate to pre-order. I can't give my source to how I did it, but I did do it. I know Walgreens is really tough about that, but it was just by chance, met the right person, got the whole pre-order taken care of, and so I was able to get one for myself and one for Joe. I was kind of hoping Joe would open his, though, so we could play with it a little bit. I'm sorry, so we could take photos of it, not play with it. But you know, I think we're kind of both in the same boat. I mean, this one, I don't know why it just feels it's a little more special. I'm hesitant to open him. He's actually the only one, I think, other than this Darth Vader that came with this series set back here that I haven't opened of this series. But I think I'll probably keep him in the box for a little bit. Definitely not reselling it, so don't ask. But it was a really cool find. One of the appeals, I think, to not only this series, but any Toys series for me as a photographer is the hunt. I love the hunt. You know, it's both disappointing, but it's also, man, when you find it, oh man, the endorphins, whoo, go through the roof when you see it or when you receive it. The great thing about stuff like the exclusives is you can actually, for the most part, you can order them. A lot of the times you have to wait almost half a year. I just put a toy on pre-order that's not coming out till spring 2020. And like I said, the Mandalorian, I know he's on pre-order through other websites. Again, you won't get him till 2020, but at least you get to lock it in and you have it guaranteed. Now, whether you get that in good condition in the packaging, if you're about collecting for the packaging, I know it's a big thing also. That's another story. You know, it varies. Stores like BigBadToyStore.com, they're a great source for figures, sometimes exclusive, sometimes even stuff from the Comic-Cons like San Diego Comic-Con. And the great thing about that with these figures is that sometimes you'll be able to collect stuff that are at the cons maybe the next day. They'll put it on pre-order, so you still get a chance at least, because those are really hard to get ones sometimes, because those guys sell out at the locations on the spot. But every now and then they'll do what's called a store share, and they'll allot a certain amount of figures to stores from Barnes & Noble to, like I said, Walgreens or GameStop. So you get a chance at least. And if not, sometimes they'll even do a second release where maybe the packaging is a little different, or, you know, some accessories might be missing, but you still get the figure itself, which I think, for me as a collector, I'm okay with that. You know, there are some Grail pieces that I'm like, oh, there's a Boba Fett classic Mandalorian colors from his 3/4-inch scale figure from the classic line, pretty much like this. It's like this here, but you could only get it at San Diego Comic-Con, and that thing sold out, and then it went on Hasbro Pulse for like a second. It was gone. I mean, that's how fast these things sell out. But it's great that we get the opportunity, for, like I said, for the most part, with most of these figures, like Boba Fett and a couple others.
Yeah, and right in front of Obi-Wan, we have a couple of Rise of Skywalker troopers, don't we?
Yes. So we've got the, I believe it's called the Jump Trooper. You see him briefly in the preview. We don't really know a lot about the movie, obviously, and I don't want any spoilers. I don't want to know. But some really cool designs, some really great designs. We also have what they're calling a Sith Trooper, the red one here. We all heard the Emperor's laugh in the trailer. We can assume he's coming back, and we can assume that these guys have something to do in connection with him, maybe like his Royal Guard, I guess like the legendary series, the Royal Guard, the New Crimson Guard, or something like that. But really cool designs. They had them on full display at San Diego Comic-Con, and again, there was an exclusive on those as well. This one I think I got from GameStop as an exclusive, but they did have a San Diego Comic-Con one that had a really cool package that opened up and had extra weapons and stuff like that. But a lot of these you can find on eBay probably, but you're going to pay a little bit for those. But definitely a cool find.
Yeah, so that covers all the stuff that's come out in recent time, and then so for everything else here, it's kind of like a little greatest hits. Some of these. So you want to start over here with the classic trilogy?
Yeah. So the cool thing about these is that we do get what they're calling like a vaulted series, I guess. These were figures that I think we were really lucky as collectors to get. We had a second chance to get them. Anyone that collects toys at toy hunts knows that, man, once they hit the market, like the stores and stuff or the cons, and right after, man, the prices triple, quadruple. People literally buy them and flip them, which basically means you buy the toy at market value and then you flip it for like 3 or 4 times the value and sell it. People will actually buy dozens of these things just to do that. I don't understand it. I get it. It's, whatever. But what they did, which was really neat with this series, is a lot of these, like Boba Fett is a great example, and Princess Leia, they re-released them as vaulted figures, or unvaulted, I guess, and they came out and gave you a second chance to buy them at affordable prices, which were basically the same prices. Now, it was different packaging. I don't think they really cut anything from the accessories, but they did make some changes so that you knew, okay, this is not the first edition, but at least you still got it. So I was really happy about that. Hasbro's been really good about that, about re-releasing those figures. So after that, we've got the classic Stormtrooper, we've got the Scout Trooper from Empire and Jedi. We've got obviously the classic Princess Leia, which is kind of neat. Hers is pretty cool because she has the cloth robe, which is a really neat accessory on her. The Sand Trooper is pretty cool. I like all the paint applications for these are really nice. They're very clean. If you look at them, we'll show you a closer view. They look really clean. Like there's not a lot of overlapping paint, at least not on purpose. So that's.
Don't you mean dirty?
Yeah, yeah. Well, and like some of them, yeah, like you can, if you look at the Sand Trooper, he's got sand, and there's even some that come with like damage.
It's all rough and coarse, and it gets everywhere.
It gets everywhere. So like this is a good example. You've got this Luke Skywalker one, which actually does have a removable helmet, but this one is kind of neat because if you look at it, it has a lot of little paint applications, the scarring from the blasters and whatnot as they're rescuing Princess Leia, which is kind of neat. Yeah, the garbage chute scene. But and again, these come with great articulation. They have double jointed elbows. They have double jointed knees, which allows for a lot of really great posing for the toy photography as well. After that, just keep going. So after that, we've got... I was going
to say, just finished watching, or we've been rewatching all the Star Wars movies to get ready for Rise of Skywalker. And so we just rewatched the trilogy, the prequel trilogy, which was actually Sarah's first time watching it, and she was very depressed by the end of episode 3.
Wait, because of the quality of the movie, or because of the story?
With her, it's the story. Okay, she's not concerned about all that stuff that us, nerds are concerned about.
That's interesting. To see someone that's maybe not from that original era, or just someone who's never seen them, to start with that series from episode 1. And I think about that for future generations. They're going to start, I'm assuming, with episode 1. They're going to think, oh, well, that's the first one, obviously. They're going to be in for a world of surprise when they get to New Hope and be like, what happened to the technology?
Yeah. But I mean, you definitely got 4 of some of the best characters from those movies. Darth Maul, Padme, Jango Fett, and of course General Grievous. So, but yeah, I forgot how much I really liked all these characters for different reasons, especially Jango Fett. He was you have it's funny, you have all three villains who, if of course you don't count the cartoons and stuff, who only get one shot at a live action movie. I guess if you count Solo for Darth Maul's little cameo, but for full appearances, that's all you get. And then you've got, that's Padme before she gets slashed by the tiger.
Yeah, so these characters are great. What I love about the Jango Fett, obviously, is the fact that we got him. He's a great character. I know maybe mixed reviews on him, but I actually really like the character. I love the Mandalorian design, and I actually found this out. I did not know this, and I don't think this is a spoiler, I hope. These guys are not actually Mandalorians.
I just heard that too.
Yeah, so that was a big surprise. I as a fan, I was just like, wow, I didn't know that. But but anyways, really cool to see the Jango Fett treatment. What's cool about him is his helmet is actually removable. He's the only one of the Fetts. I've got the prototype McQuarrie version. I've got the Mandalorian. I've got Boba Fett. But he's the only one that actually has the helmet that is removable, which is pretty interesting. He does have the dual blasters, which is really cool. I love the paint application on him. Really cool with the chrome and stuff, and that blue looks really good together. Of course, you had Darth Maul. Again, this is one of those that was re-released again to the public. It was really neat. Cool thing about him is he does come with his alternate look here. He's got his cloaked version, so you could actually slip that over, and his lightsaber does actually come apart, so he can hold it as one lightsaber or keep it as the double bladed. And also, for if you play with him, you can actually do the reenact the scene if you want to. I've never done that, but yeah. So again, really cool little things like this really make the characters stand out, and they're just great to take photos of and just have fun, and to see the treatment that these are given by Hasbro, and just to the fans, just the love they put into the characters and stuff. I believe a lot of the likenesses, the faces, are done with that laser copying, whatever that thing is. So a lot of the faces you see on these characters are pretty good. They're pretty, the only thing that can mess them up generally is maybe a bad paint application. Somebody's in a rush to get them out and put an eyebrow all weird or something like that. But other than that, I mean, like, you look at Darth Maul, and you know how intricate that paint job is. I'm assuming they laser paint that or something, do something with that one just to get that detail, but it's there and it's really good. Even around the horns, you got the red around the horns, there's yellow, there's not a whole lot of over paint, so generally pretty good on those. But yeah, the General Grievous is pretty neat. His arms actually come together to form just two arms, or they separate. He does come with all four lightsabers. Super posable. The only thing about him is a little top heavy. He can be a challenge to stand up, but he's great for photos. And you can actually see some of those of him on my Instagram. Some great ones of him on there. And of course, using special effects. There's tons of effects you can use on your phone to light up their lightsabers, and it just makes them look that much cooler.
Yeah, and so moving on here, we have a trio from the new trilogy. So we've got Kylo Ren, we've got one of the new stormtroopers, and we've got the fated or fateful. What would? No, I know. I was going to say, but fated to not have much screen time is what I was trying to say.
For all the hype around here, I was really disappointed. I mean, she has such a cool design. Mm-hmm. I mean, when they first showed her, I was like, oh my gosh, this chrome armor just looks spectacular. And I know it serves a function. Unfortunately, we didn't really get to see it in its full glory. I know she's supposed to probably be really cool in the comic books, from what I understand, but we didn't get to see that. And unfortunately, that kind of is a curse with a lot of the cool looking characters, like the Fetts and Darth Maul over here, and even Grievous. The thing about these, which I thought was kind of ironic, is that I really like the bad guy designs. I love the bad guy designs. They just look really cool. I'm starting to get Jedi, but I think from the Council, I've started ordering those, but they've just been kind of dull, but these just really stand out. They just look cool. They're evil. It's so good to be bad, so they look great. But this is really neat. Like with Kylo Ren, he does have the fabric cowl and cape and stuff. They do have some softer molded plastic on him. Again, great articulation on these figures. The double jointed pieces. I'm just gonna lay her down. But yeah, again, really cool stuff on these. just amazing paint applications, amazing likenesses, just all the way through. Worth the price point. And most of these, I should say, they range from about $20, a little bit up, a little bit down, just depending. You can always find them on sale, like at Target, Walmart, and all that.
Yeah, I heard, I've never confirmed it, but I heard that her armor is made from the hull of a Naboo cruiser.
Oh,
So you basically
cool.
have, Padme over here be like, what, you wearing my ship or what? Yeah.
Fucking Fallen Order. We saw some of that where they were tearing apart the ships and repurposing them. So yeah, that's kind of cool. I didn't know that either. Oh, there you go. Hey, you learned something new.
And then finally, speaking of fateful movies, well, no, we've got one really good, or two actually. Is that the actual robot from Rogue One?
Yeah, this is what was his name?
I just watched it too.
Oh my gosh, Joe, we're horrible.
Too many.
K2SO.
Is it?
I think something like that. Okay, and forgive us. I mean, I'm put in the comments, whatever. Fantastic job by Alan Tudyk as K2SO. I believe that was his name. Absolutely loved him. I could not pass him up. I've bought his Hot Wheels version. They actually made Hot Wheels versions of some of the Star Wars characters as cars, and his is awesome. This is this huge bulky thing. Looks amazing. But yeah, absolutely love the actor. So I'm glad they gave us this character. Really fantastic piece. Actually, for him being as skinny as he is, you'd think he would tip over. He's actually one of the more sturdy characters. I was really surprised. One of my favorite designs to come out of all the stormtroopers, besides the scout trooper, is the Cobb. He was like a patrol stormtrooper on Solo, and his design is really cool. Has kind of a motorcycle vibe to him, and he's the one that's trying to pull over Solo when he's in the chase. But I absolutely love this design. This is probably one of my top 3 stormtrooper favorite designs, and so really cool that we got him. I would love to army build him, which basically means you buy several of them just for posing or setting up or whatever. But yeah, it's a great design on that character. And then of course we've got the Death Troopers. I believe they were called from this was what Rogue One. Yeah, really cool characters. Again, I kind of felt they fell short of their legendary status like Phasma did, but they were cool. Just seeing a stormtrooper in the black armor besides the shadow troopers that we've seen, and I don't know if those are canon or if those are considered legendary now.
I think so.
But it was cool just to see them. The design's pretty neat, but just the black armor is cool. And of course that awesome name Death Trooper. How can you go wrong with that? Literally looks like death. But yeah, pretty cool. And they were accurate. They actually could hit a target, which was a big selling point on them. But yeah, again, just great. I love the paint applications. And then finally back here, I've got this was kind of neat. This right here, what you're seeing in the background, way back, anybody that collected Star Wars in the 1970s, when they first came out, there's a little story behind this. This was actually a set that came with Darth Vader by himself. In the original story, you want to talk about how they did this for Christmas? Do you remember that?
I vaguely remember. You probably remember better than I do.
Okay, so like what they did is when Star Wars first came out, the movie came out and they didn't have time to get the toys out in time for Christmas, which was a big thing. They needed to get those sales. So what they did do is the company put out, this was Kenner, this was before Hasbro bought them. Kenner actually put out a kind of a gift set, like a We Promise You set. And what they did is you could buy the box that had little, I believe there were coupons or something you cut out, and you would send them in, and every month whenever those toys became available, you would get them first. And these were the original characters. I believe they've added some to it, but you would get certain characters that first wave. And this was really neat because I re-released this in the Black series, which is fantastic. It's got a dual background on it. The other side is a X-Wing just in space, but this one I believe was the classic release they did with it, and it was neat because you got to build this little thing, put the little sticker on there, and it came with a Darth Vader, which was kind of cool. And I think the price point on this original was like $45, $60 something, but held out for this one, got it for like $30, really good deal, and got a great Darth Vader out of it. So yeah, but this was a really cool piece. It's great as a display, just to put them, change it and stuff like that. It's a really cool little piece. They've done so much for this series, and it just keeps getting better. The stuff they have coming out is amazing.
Yeah, and because I guess, I don't know if it's just because of production time or just trying not to overdo it, but I feel like they are pretty selective in what they put out since the beginning. Yeah. At this point there's a lot when you look at it over the last few years. Yeah. But like I remember when we still had our store, we had the set come in to sell that was for partially The Last Jedi. I remember it had, is it Jaina Solo from the Legends?
Right.
Yeah. So yeah, I remember those figures looked cool. So I mean, it's just a great. I'm glad that this exists, for the Star Wars toys. Of course, yeah, I was looking at some in Walmart the other day. Even the 3 3/4, they're getting more and more detailed.
That laser copying they're doing with their faces and stuff. It's really good. And again, just as toy production and sculpting and just the business in general keeps evolving, so do their toys. I mean, I remember for a while their toys were kind of like, on the brink of like, are they going to keep making toys because plastic was too expensive? And I mean, all this stuff, all these factors were coming in, but I'm glad to see they stuck with it. We get stuff just like this. And I mean, just looking at them, they're beautiful. They're yes, they're toys, but if you look at them, just the detail and the love they put into these, I can't say that and stress that enough, is the detail and the love they put in these are simply outstanding. Everything from like Padme, if you look at her cloak that she's wearing, you can actually see texture. I mean, it looks like cloth. It's not, but it looks great. General Grievous actually has the cloth, the cape and everything it drapes. Boba Fett, the same thing. So there's, they're doing little things, kind of what works best, I think, probably for the action side of it, as well as just aesthetics. It looks really great. Some of them are better than others, but they're getting better and they just keep improving.
I think the second sister was just mad because we beat her yesterday. Kind of. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So
I will say this: honestly, the only negative I can find sometimes with these, honestly, is just the standing. I wish we had better stands for them. I know you can go out and buy generic stands made for these on third market, second market, whatever they're called. But like the ones they did supply with, like the Jump Trooper, is pretty neat. But again, it's only for like limited posability, because after that, his ankles get really weak. And you really don't want that to happen with these guys, because once those ankles go, they won't stand up. But that's my only complaint. I think they've been really good about pre-orders, about accessibility to a lot of these. The one that's elusive right now is that Boba Fett, like I mentioned earlier. He's tough. He sold out in literally 2 seconds, maybe 7 seconds, something like that. It was ridiculous. But I'm glad that there's that drive, there's that love, there's that want, that market for these, because that means they're going to keep making them, and we're going to get more figures. And with the series like the Mandalorian, with the game Fallen Order, with Rise of Skywalker, I mean, it's a galaxy, just a galaxy of figures far, far away for us to collect.
Yep. And Roy's going to have to get a bigger house.
Yes.
So, but anyway, guys, thanks for checking this out. We've had some pretty good responses to Roy's toy reviews, so we do appreciate that. I know he does. I hope some of you have followed him over at Instagram. If you haven't, we'll put that link in the description below. And we'll just keep trying to see what's releasing and what we want to talk about. I don't know what y'all have been following, but I won't get into the politics of what's happening in YouTube right now. But I will just say subscribing has become more important now than ever. And if you do use the other social medias, Facebook, Instagram, it is very important. It's going to be very important to follow your favorite creators on those platforms, because some of the decisions we're going to have to make here come 2020, it may be easier for you to find us on Facebook and Instagram than it is on YouTube. There'll be more about that, I'm sure, as we get towards the end of the year. But for now, if you've already subscribed, thank you so much. If you haven't, please do so. And just continue to follow us here. And hit the like button, comment, because we do still have comments for now. But anyway, thanks again, guys, and we will see you next time.